Solana, Luna, and Fantom. I think that Solana needs to put in a little bit more sideways time, while I also think that Luna and Fantom can continue charging up and trickling up slowly. Let me show you why I'm seeing that in the charts, and let's dive into this. If you are a returning viewer, go ahead and really quickly for me, hit like and leave me a comment down below, even if it's just an emoji thumbs up, emoji poop, LOL you suck, whatever you want to put on there. It's going to help me continue making videos for you. So go ahead and take a quick second, help out the algo. And if you are new here, here's what my channel does for you. If you're a fan of one of these three or all three of these altcoins, you're usually watching videos that have to do with project fundamentals or news-based type of shows. So what my channel does for you here is it completes that triangle of information that you need to be getting. And my dot on that triangle is helping you understand what's happening when you're clicking around with your money, so you have an understanding, a statistical understanding of, hey, do I have a statistically probable winning trade in front of me before I click around with my precious money? And so I help you, in short, convert yourself from a buyer and prayer who hopes things go up forever, writing things up, writing things all the way down. And I try to convert you into a profit pimp who takes profit. So if you like Solana, you sell a little bit of Solana. If you like Fantom, you sell Fantom. If you like Luna or Terra, you sell a little bit of Terra as well. So that's what my channel does for you. So let's jump into it. And here we go. So I'm going to start off with the weekly RSIs here. Okay, so I'm on Solana. I'm going to go across these three. So take a look here. This white line is the weekly RSI's EMA, the white line, okay? And I'm on Solana right now. So I'll throw back on the RSI here, and let's look at these these levels differences here. So on Solana's EMA on the weekly RSI got up to about 73. All right. On Luna, it hasn't even touched 70 yet, so it hasn't got quite as hot. And Fantom is just now breaking in, this white line here is just now breaking into the green zone. So Solana on this scale has gotten hotter than the other two. And this is one of the reasons why I think it needs to chill out and maybe have what I'm looking for on Solana is Solana, the RSI, the green, to come dip out of the green zone, out of this bullish control zone. See how this is green, this is not, right? The zone here. I think it needs to dip on out of it, something like this, and then get back on top of its EMA. So let me make that green for you. And what I suspect will happen on the RSI is it'll get stuck below the RSI's EMA in that white line like that. That's kind of what I'm expecting for Solana. All right. And in my video, in my previous video on Solana, I said that Solana went up on a 500+% run. Therefore, it probably needs to have a 50% correction. It got really, really close. And I even drew this line in here and I left it here. So take a look. From top to bottom, it did 46% correction. I was guessing 50. So this line here, I think was 50, or maybe I moved it down too low. Yep, that's right at 50. So it almost hit my line. However, I still think it has a chance to come hit this line first. And here's why. The weekly 10 EMA, a lot of times you have wicks down below the 10 EMA, but it's staying above the yellow, which is the 21 EMA. I still think you could get some sideways movement, a quick move down before it moves back up. I really think it needs to touch this line at minimum, but I'm still expecting I don't know, I would give it close to a 50-50 chance that Solana still hits that line. However, what could happen is it could just keep moving sideways until this red catches up, and it could just bounce off the red without ever coming down the rest of that 4% that I was guessing. It got pretty close, so my guess was within 4% of price action, probably close enough, or could be close enough, but I still think it has a chance of needing to move sideways and down a little bit. So don't, if you are a big Solana fan, the more time sideways, as Bitcoin is, trying to break all-time highs, the more juice it's going to have, especially if you can come down and hit this line or wick below here, really get a couple more retests of this red line. Hasn't even tested it. Look, let's zoom right in here. Hasn't even touched this red line yet. And usually before it move up, you have to at least wick down to touch it before you can continue moving up. Now, what would negate that? Okay, well, there is a way easily, that Solana could really flex its muscles here. Once you get a weekly closure above $175.42, a weekly closure, not a wick above, Intra-week go like this, then come back down, but a closure. So let's say next week closes above, and the next week's starts. That closure above would negate the idea that it needs to come down and touch this line or even the weekly 10. Then Solana can really start moving forward. But you have to get a weekly closure above these two candles here before it moves up. It's really that simple. You're not just going to get some flyby pump until that happens. However, before that happens, what I'm speculating is Solana will indeed touch this red line at minimum, maybe touch this 50% line here from the top, right? And what this could look like. And another play that could happen is this. You could get the red line, which is the weekly 10 EMA, essentially to keep coming up as this moves sideways and price gets stuck between the red line and this line. And then finally in November, the red line pushes and squeezes price out above this. And so you finally get that closure. So I would say that Solana is not going to see anywhere close to all-time highs until the first to third week of November. That is my guess. That is my analysis for Solana. So let's take a look at the daily chart, see how that's moving here. I'm going to take off price. And so you have a Stokes, your daily Stokes crossing down. It could just keep curling up, could stay in this bullish control zone. That could easily happen. However, if you look at the RSI here, it's getting stuck below this green bullish control zone, and the RSI's EMA itself is starting to angle down. So what I suspect will happen here on the daily chart on RSI is I think RSI needs to touch either this white line or the red line before it can really start moving up. That doesn't mean price tanking. That probably just means price coming down to the weekly 10. Even though I'm on the one-day chart right now, I think the one-day chart's either going to hit this red line or this white line before it's going to start really taking off. And that should coincide with my guesses on the weekly chart almost perfectly. So that's what I'm seeing there for Solana. Let's go on to, let's move to Luna. So I'm on the weekly chart on Luna. And Luna has recently essentially used this as support. So it can keep coming up here and working its way up as long as this, as long as the RSI stays above. And flipping back to Solana, you can see it's kind of breaking below. So it's a little bit different of a setup. Can you see that? So that's why I think Luna and Terra have a chance to keep on inching up here based off of that. And you can see the difference here. Look how many times that Luna has indeed touched this red line. Once, twice. Did it touch it this week? No, it did not. So it's only touched it twice, and that's good enough. In very bullish moves, when it's a break above origin line around. So in bullish moves, you only need to really, really tag it once or twice, and it's already done that. So I think that Luna can continue. Yeah, I'm on Luna, I'm on Terra. I think it can continue charging up. However, what might happen here on this origin line is it might have trouble breaking above this line here. See this? How this line right here acted as resistance, and it acted as support, then it's resistance. So Luna might have some serious trouble getting above here. And what I'm thinking for Luna is, instead of getting your breakout now that you've got a weekly closure above here, you might get your breakout above here once you get a weekly closure above this ascending origin line here. And so it might take a little bit of time to do that. But the one good thing about this is that the weekly 10 EMA is as high as it's ever been, and it's got a positive structure. So it looks like it can just keep inching up until you get a closure above there, and then you can get, some type of potential really bullish move up. Luna's price action really is looking pretty healthy. He even got the weekly Stokes dipping into the lower bullish control zone and coming back up into the hyper bullish control zone. So I mean, honestly, I think this is going to be slow and steady, but I think it's going to keep moving up here. And what I would suspect for Luna is to not have wicks much below the daily 21, and if it does, the daily 55 should be able to support it, just like it happened here. So if you're a big Luna or Terra fan, what you might want to pull up is the daily 10, which is the red line, daily 21 and 55, and anytime that it hits the 55, that could be a pretty good buy target. Yeah, I mean, and if you're into futures and longing and everything, that could be a good long for Luna as well if you end up getting a move down to the daily 55. So look how it's just writing in this channel, and I think it could do that for a considerable amount of time until it finally busts above this line. So you can see, let's zoom in here. See how you had one daily closure above, and then it came right back into it, right? So that's how important I would say a weekly closure above this line. So a daily closure didn't cut it. So I think you need a weekly closure above this ascending line on Luna in order to start getting a really aggressive price, but a price move up. But right now it's going sideways and up. So this is extremely healthy price movement. Another thing that you have going on, similar to how I said with Solana, I think it needs to hit this red line. Remember the daily RSI? I said, hey, I think it needs to hit that red line. That's what I'm looking for Solana to do before I move up. And you can see here that Luna was able to do this as it was just marching up and sideways, but it still hit this line. So I think it reset its indicators, and I think it can trickle up. But this is what I need, this is what you should be looking for Solana to do before you get that move up. And so I think that coincided with going back down to the daily 55. All right, so let's go to Fantom. Fantom, similar thing. I said it's either on Solana, referring back to Solana, it needs to hit the white line or the red line. Well, guess what? Both Fantom and Terra have done. One hit the white line, one hit the red line. Solana hasn't hit either, right? So after it hit this white line, guess what happens? On the daily RSI, it came back above the EMA, which is the white line, came above it, used it as support, and now it can trickle back up. And you have a positive slope on that white line, which you don't have a positive slope on Solana. That's why these are the reasons why I think Solana needs to move sideways a little bit longer here. But I don't think that Fantom and Terra Luna need to do that. So let's go to the weekly candles. Let's see how many times this has touched its weekly 10 EMA. It really hasn't touched it. This could go sideways a little bit longer. Let's see here. What's giving this trouble? So you need a weekly closure above this candle here, which could negate the idea that it needs to touch its weekly 10. So if this week can close anywhere above $1.40, let's see here. If it can close above that line at 1.478, I think you could be off to the races for Fantom. So among these three, I think that Luna has the best chance of continued trickling up. And I think that Fantom has a slightly lower chance of continue moving up. But I think, so Fantom and Solana might move sideways a little bit longer while Luna might continue inching up. All right, so let's go to the daily. Have we touched the daily 55 here yet? Nope, have not touched the daily 55. So going back to Luna has put in its time. It touched that, and it's touched the weekly 10 twice. So now you can see how healthy it is to come back down and touch that weekly 10, because Luna is the one that's prepped to keep going up, and it's the only one that's hit its weekly 10 EMA and or the daily 55 EMA, which are typically right around the same area. So hopefully you're seeing the importance of really touching that weekly 10. And you essentially should be, if you're a big Fantom fan, you should be rooting for a wick down at least to touch this weekly 10, right? Can you see how this process is happening here? Only one of these three assets has done it, and that's the strongest asset. But it went down the lowest relative to its weekly EMAs, and now it's the strongest. So that's my saying, or my theory, that you gotta get down to get up. So Fantom needs to get down just a little bit. Solana needs to get down even a little bit more, and then they can both get up. So if you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and if you're new, go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell so you can stay in the know when you're clicking around with your money. Help yourself convert from a buyer and a prayer who watches things go all the way up and all the way down. Stop writing things down all the way down, and so you can have a more profitable crypto journey. And if you're returning, go ahead and take a quick moment. If you haven't, leave a quick comment and hit that like button, and so I can continue making videos for you, help out the algo, and we'll see you next time. You just got to tip the